That's Arvind Kejriwal, who has come out of jail after about 50 odd days. He is walked out of jail and he's addressing supporters, I think, straight from the top of the car. Outside, if I'm not mistaken, this would be outside the Chief Minister's residence in Delhi, where he's speaking to people. And his big statement has been this: I am back, he says, as he walks out of jail. He says, I'm fighting a dictatorship with all I have. 140 crore people have to do that now. So he walked out of jail this evening. The Supreme Court granted him interim bail till the 1st of June. Party workers and leaders, including Punjab's Chief Minister Kejriwal's own wife Sunita, gathered outside of jail in anticipation of his release. Addressing the crowd, Kejriwal said, so this is outside of the jail, not outside of his house. Didn't I tell you I'll be back soon? I'm back. I'm fighting the dictatorship with all I have. Now 140 crore of us will have to do that. And he thanked the Supreme Court. Tomorrow at 11 a.m., we'll all go to Hanuman Mandir in Connaught Place, and there will be a press conference at the party office, he says. I request you all to come to the Hanuman Mandir tomorrow. So, smart man, Kejriwal, sort of playing the BJP's game, let's say. And so let me just take you through, and that's really the visual of the day. That's the photograph of the day. Arvind Kejriwal speaking to his supporters outside of Delhi. My understanding from what I'm talking to people in Delhi is that Kejriwal has a great deal of support on the ground for people who used his Mohalla clinics, people who benefited from, the government schooling that had been improved greatly during his term as Chief Minister, were sullen and unhappy with his arrest. And that might actually can be converted directly into votes, is what I'm hearing. So let me take you through those arguments, right, that were made. And we're looking at the live law. There's Arvind Kejriwal. So basically what happened was this came before the Supreme Court. So on one hand, in High Court, Arvind Kejriwal was fighting the arrest itself, saying the arrest itself was invalid. In Supreme Court, there was an interim bail that was requested to allow him to campaign because there's an election on. So the court had to answer this question. On one hand, Arvind Kejriwal's lawyers were arguing that he should be allowed to campaign before this very important election. And the ED, represented by the government's lawyers, were arguing that that would actually be set a really bad precedent. It would mean that all politicians who are in jail should be allowed to go out and campaign. How is that fair? Because Arvind Kejriwal is technically not a candidate in this election. So why does he need to go out and campaign? These were the two arguments. So Justices Sanjeev Khanna and Dipankar Datta were actually on the bench. Remember, on the 3rd of May, the Supreme Court had sort of showed an inclination that it would consider interim bail for Arvind Kejriwal because of the elections. On subsequent dates, the Solicitor General, who is the highest lawyer for the government of India, Tushar Mehta, he argued that the ED has evidence against Kejriwal and election campaign is not a criteria for granting interim bail. The bench then observed that you're dealing with the case of an elected chief minister, right? Not a habitual offender, not a thug. General elections take place only once in 5 years. And so these are both important circumstances. And during the hearing on the 7th of May, the bench orally suggested that if he's given interim bail, it will not be to go back to his duties as chief minister or, which will allow him then to tamper with evidence or to change any of the evidence, but instead he will only be allowed to campaign. So what has happened since then is that these bail conditions have been set by the court. The court has said that he has to furnish a bail of 50,000 rupees. He will not visit the office of the chief minister or the Delhi Secretariat. He shall be bound by the statement made on his behalf that he will not sign any official files. He will not make any comment with regard to his role in the present case. So he can't speak about it to the media, basically. And he will not interact with any of the witnesses. But when the Solicitor General was arguing that just because he needs to campaign doesn't mean he should be let out, he gave an example of Amritpal Singh. Now, Amritpal Singh was detained under the National Security Act for Khalistani activities. And he had approached the court for bail to contest in the elections, to which the judges responded saying, Amritpal Singh is a different case. Let's not put a straitjacket. And I'm reading from here. We're passing an order to give him interim relief. We will upload the order by this evening. And basically, he repeated the fact that you are now dealing with a sitting chief minister, someone who's not a habitual offender. And also, the court pointed out this, that you've effectively had this case running since August 2022. So all of 2023 and then half of 2024, you did nothing about it. And you've chosen to do it now, just before the election. That timing itself draws a question. There was once earlier also during this hearing that the bench had questioned the ED about the timing of the arrest and why you did it now, after the elections had been notified. The Solicitor General also asked the bench to impose conditions, and those are the conditions that we see. We've also put out, there's an entire separate video that talks about this whole liquor policy case. There will be another video that talks about these arguments, but that is perhaps another big story of the day.